Welcome back to the 9 story modes from within the story selling philosophy. And of course, these form the basis of my latest book, Shift and Disrupt. Stop selling widgets, start selling wisdom. Now, we have started down this track of external stories that we need to show and tell our buyers. In looking at the last video, we looked at the progression model and how we take our buyer on a journey of guiding change. So this is really the who and the why around change. We're going to shift it up in a little bit now, and we're going to look at the second external story that we need to collaborate on with our buyer to show and tell, and that is the tension model. And so it was Albert Einstein that said that you cannot solve a problem from the same state it was created in. You have got to rise above it. Now, I know I paraphrased there, but this, when we think about the problems that our buyers have, we have to take the challenge and we have to take the problem, we have to take the issue to a higher level. But to do that, we also have to go deeper and to really identify the root cause. Now, if you think for a moment, when we talk about the tension model, it's typically a 2x2. So a matrix model is what we use here, as opposed to the ladder or the progression model here. We're now going to be looking at 2x2. So if you think for a moment, Eisenhower, the Eisenhower matrix. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but of course, Eisenhower was the US Army general before he became the president of the United States. And he was renowned for saying, I have two problems, the urgent and the important. And he said the important are never urgent. And so from that awareness, he created the Eisenhower matrix, which of course is a time management thing, working on what's urgent, what's not urgent, what's important, what's not important. We need to do something very similar when it comes to understanding the challenges of our buyers. So what is the outcome that our buyer really wants? And how do we capture that? What are the two parameters that are needed for our matrix? So in the story selling philosophy, in my I have what's called a conversion quadrant. So once again, it's a quadrant. And I will use this quadrant and sit down in front of buyers or sit down in front of sales leaders, and we will discuss the two issues that leader is having or that salesperson is having. And in my case, in my own personal tension model that I put on the table and that I scribble with a serviette and a pen, the two biggest challenges are that salespeople are not getting in front of the right level of connections. And once they're in front of once they make their connection, are they having the right depth of conversation? Because when you can get in front of the right level of connection and have the right depth of conversation, then your conversions will happen. And so that forms the basis of my 2x2. And of course, if you've got low connection and high conversion, or you kind of go around the matrix, then we can collaborate on that. Or I can, it's already pre-made. I know my market well enough to be able to roll that out on cue. But sometimes there might be some little tweaks, but this is providing the opportunity for the buyer to actually collaborate with me. Now, this a 2x2 attention model. When you can collaborate on a story this way, this creates the what. This creates the what needs to shift. This creates the what needs to happen for our buyer. Now, if you are having a conversation with your buyer and you are totally both on the same side of the table, and your competitor comes in and they are just asking typical discovery questions, who's going to win the business? You will. So creating this tension is also a little bit like bringing in the law of scarcity. It's like, gosh, I've sat down with Bernadette and we've got crystal clear on these parameters. And I'm those 4 labels, those 4 squares, that's me. Tell me, how can I fix it? How can I get to that top right quadrant of bringing in more conversions? That's our next story. But what I want you to do is I want you to create your own tension model, because this will be specific to your buyer. So it's no use you taking mine and just going to replicating mine out there in the marketplace, because it won't be relevant and meaningful. And we want you to bring wisdom to the table. So that sagaciousness, you have to step into that role of, being the sage. And so what I want you to do is to brainstorm. Once again, thinking stuff happening here. What are the top issues that your buyer's having? What is their outcome, and how can you create a tension model to be able to show and tell the buyer's story visually? I'm excited about it. I love this stuff because it makes such a difference, and it will differentiate you out there in an ocean of obscurity. So on that note, register for the launch of my book, shiftanddisrupt.com. Go to that website, shiftanddisrupt.com. If it's already launched, then you'll be have access to the resources anyway. And follow me on YouTube. The channel is at The Story Seller. And of course, follow me on LinkedIn as well. On that note, have an amazing day. Go create some tension out there in the marketplace, positive tension. And we'll see you in the next episode, which will be our final external story, which will be based on integration. Anyway, we'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.